Welcome to Cosmic Channels! I'm your host, Braden. As you know, I always say this is your guys' show. I just host it. So nice. Hopefully, we get a bunch of people on today. We've drained the cosmic coffers. We paid for a restream last week in the shareholders meeting after the show. We all agreed. So this is streaming out to more people than it ever has before. So hopefully that, we can get some more calls on the line. And just like that, the lines are open. The cosmic lines are open. 1-833-703-0424. We want your stories. We want your ghost stories, your paranormal stories, cryptid stories, UFO sightings, alien abductions. You got a scary story. You want to call and talk some conspiracies. 1-833-703-0424. Let's go. Let's get it going. Who's going to be the first call tonight? I did also try some new things with we have some stories that can be read, so we'll try that out here. But I'm hoping to get a call on the line right away here. So 1-833-703-0424. Come on, call us. Tell your story. I want to hear it. If no one's gonna call in the next couple of minutes, we're gonna go right to a fan submission, and then we'll be sitting on that for a while. But after the end of the show, if you're watching live, we always sit and have a little bit of a shareholders meeting, kind of change the navigation of the show and stuff. So the chats changed from last week. We have links in the description of YouTube and stuff. And I've got some interesting things that we'll talk about today. But you know what? If no one's going to call, I'm going to go right to a fan submission. So the lines are still open. So if you want to call and get on hold here, give me a call, 1-833-703-0424. Until then, enjoy this story. Had a room with the old fake out with no audio to get the first caller on. It's Cosmic Channels. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Invalid ID.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You got a story for us? Where are you calling from? Or do you want to keep it all anonymous?
No, I'm calling from the island.
Right on.
It's a story. You want that one? I've got a couple of different stories, so I'll give you that one.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so it's an UFO one. I couldn't actually see a specific UFO itself, but it comes with all the stuff like screen memory and everything else. So it was a few years ago. I was driving at night in the dark. It was a little bit foggy. It had been rainy. It was about 7 o'clock at night. And I was coming up to a stoplight, stopped at the stoplight, and then just happened to notice up to my right, I could see what looked like 3 really large but low glow orange lights, and they were all in a triangle, like it would make a triangle pattern. So in my head, I just automatically am assuming this is a triangle, one of those UFOs.
Yeah.
But I'm also not thinking UFO. I'm just like, that's just really, really weird. There's nothing there. And on Discord, I'll upload photos about like the area so that people can see that there's literally nothing there.
Is this
so
just out of curiosity?
I just keep driving. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, is this East Coast or West Coast Vancouver Island?
It's Victoria.
Victoria? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yep. So right down island.
Yeah. Down south. Okay.
Pretty densely populated too. Yep. So, yep. So I kind of keep driving through the light at this point, and it's December. It's early December when this happens, and in center of the two lanes, a lot of our lanes have mid sections where cars can pull over and stuff in the center and make turns into driveways and things. But there was one of our buses, our public buses, and in Victoria we have double-decker buses as well as single-level buses. And at Christmas time, we have what's called a Santa bus that gets all decked out with reindeer antlers and the nose and everything. But in the center of this lane, and those buses, by the way, are just the normal one-level bus, but in the center of this lane this time, it had a double-decker that was a giant out-of-service sign on it, and the antlers on the second level and the nose and everything else. And I just remember making note of that, and then I just kept driving. I got home, and it took me about an hour, and then I just said to my husband, I'm like, hey, I think I saw a UFO. I completely it just left the brain. Like, it just never happened. And then really started thinking about everything, and that bus was really weird because the Santa buses are never the double-decker buses.
Yeah.
So it's like that just couldn't have existed, and they wouldn't leave that bus specifically sitting there unattended they have supervisor trucks and stuff that they'll do. So like that specific bus wouldn't have been left unattended like that in the dark at night. So, and then after that, I'm just chronically obsessed with that corner. Every time I drive past that intersection, I am always looking to try to debunk what I saw, but there is just nothing that could have been.
And you've never seen the lights there before?
No, and they literally physically could not be there. And they're not going to be streetlights because our streetlights are not like that, and especially on that road. Like, there are streetlights, but they're not. And this was too high up, and it was massive. Like, just the spread of it was massive. I'm trying to think of how to compare it in size. Like, not a football field, but...
The reason I asked about whereabouts on the island is because I've heard a couple other stories similar to this one on the West Coast, up kind of near Gold River and Tassis, so mid-North Island on the West Coast. There's actually quite a few people who have these accounts of these like lights coming in. I've even heard one of this, like a light coming in and someone thinking it's one craft, and then as it comes in the inlet, they just kind of like instantly go single file and then just shoot like back out to the ocean. So it's, it's kind of fascinating that the amount of sightings
There's
we
a
have.
lot of activity up in that area. This was just, it was there. It wasn't moving. It was just completely stationary, like no sound. But of course my windows were rolled up and stuff, but there was nothing. And nobody around me really noticed anything either. And it wasn't, dead quiet. There was other vehicles. So.
Well, the weird thing is like if this thing was some sort of UFO, extraterrestrial craft or something, if it's sitting there silently with just a couple unopposing lights, like it's not going to draw a lot of attention to itself. Like some people might look and not take another gander at it other than just like pass by it, especially at night.
But the other side of the street though has an apartment building on the corner. To me, it just like you would think that, but I've checked all the reports and things, and I've not been able to find anybody.
You should have went right to the apartment building. You put did you see the lights? You should have went right to the apartment building and stuck a little sign with your contact number. Did you see these lights?
But again, it was like it's like my brain just wouldn't even let me remember that it happened until something sparked it as I was doing something, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw this, and it was just so nonchalant. It wasn't, a big deal. And then afterwards, I'm like, hang on. And then I started thinking about that bus, and I was like, yeah, that's all wrong.
Yeah, that's strange. So, do you have any inclination to what you think it is or what it was? What do you lean to?
There was definitely something there. I personally, it just felt like it was one thing, one giant mass. But again, I couldn't see any physical thing other than the three really large spread out lights that just made a triangle shape. So I have no idea.
Weird.
And, part of me wants to do like a hypnosis thing to see why I've got a screen memory, but then the other part of me really doesn't want to go there either. So.
You said you had one other story to share.
Oh,
since you're the first caller, what I might do is with the first caller from now on, if you're the first caller on Cosmic Channels, a little incentive if you got multiple stories. I'll allow 2 stories for the first caller. I think moving forward, that's a good way to.
There's also saying my voice sounds harsh.
I think I've
I just have a harsh voice.
no, it might be peaking on my end. I think I can fix it live. So
Okay.
just in the chat, if you're listening, I'm working on it on the fly. I'm looking, so always let me know. Go ahead with what's the next story?
Okay. I guess this could be. I'll do the Fort Langley one. So I used to live my life over there in that area. And there's a street over there where going into Fort Langley, you go through a floodplain area a little bit and fields, and it's really pretty during the day, but at night it's horrifying. And then there's this overpass as well. And whenever you would drive down there, especially at night, if there was cars behind you or any type of vehicle, they would vanish. Once you went through that overpass, they'd be gone. It was like, I don't know anything about it. Fort Langley has a huge history of all sorts of not pleasant things and a lot of witchcraft. And like Victoria, it has a pretty large satanic population.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lower Mainland BC, there is some like quite haunted areas, and Fort Langley being one of the hotbeds of activity.
I've seen a lot of crap there. But with this overpass, what's interesting is that when you drive under it, if you stop, there's a ton of graffiti, of course, under there. But the graffiti is never going to be the same. So you could drive through it, turn around, go back, and that graffiti that you would have looked at is going to be gone and will be completely different. So it's like some weird little, I don't even know, time warp thing or whatever. And like I said, you could be driving down that road and you could have like two vehicles behind you. You could see their headlights. You go under that overpass and you come out and the vehicles could just never come, or you could have a motorcycle come, or it's just a really bizarre little area. So kind of a neat little unsettling, time warpy kind of place.
Yeah, and do you see like the actual physical vehicle, or is it just like lights of a vehicle?
Oh no, you'll see the vehicle, and then you go and you get under that overpass, and you just keep going like you're going to into Fort Langley, and you turn around, and those vehicles are gone. And there is nowhere for that. This is a very flat area, and that's the only road for a very long time. So there's no like vehicles just turning off or getting ducked behind a building or any. It's nothing. It's a nothingness.
Interesting. What do you think it is? What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, I have no idea. It's like it's a grab bag of paranormal there, so there is no thought.
Take your pick.
Avoid it at night.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for being the first caller tonight.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Make sure to call back another time. I know you got some more stories.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or I'll send them a story.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Just like that, the lines are open. It might be because I'm looking at the recording. I'm saying that the audio is peaking a little bit. My recording audio of it totally fine. So it could just be some sort of settings between the phone line. I'm not sure, but just like that, the Cosmic lines are open. So if you want to call, you got a story to share. 1-833-703-0424. Get your ass on the line. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear your tales. If not, don't make me play another muted clip of Dan reading a fan story, because that's what's going to happen, 100%. So the lines are open, 1-833-703-0424. Come on, let's go. Fuck you, call us. I want to hear it. I'll give 1 minute here before I play. I got it sorted out now. If Dan, it's going to play a clip of Dan reading some a nice fan submission for you. But I'll keep the lines open the entire time. So if you're sitting there and you're going, hey, you know what? I think I want to call. The lines will still be open. I'll just place you on hold to the end of the fan story. So last chance, 1-833-703-0424. I'm waiting. I'll be here. And in the meantime, let's go to a fan submitted story. And if you want to submit your story to be read, and you never know who's going to read it, could be me, could be anyone, you can send that story to CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Dan with Alien Theorist Theorizing on Cosmic Channels, here to read you a fan submission. As read. So this is the first one that I remember. When I was 24, I'm 30 now. I used to stay at a friend's house
Daniel
a few
from
weeks at a
Virginia,
time
long-time
with her,
listener,
her husband,
not
and her
the
daughter,
first-time caller.
who was about 5 or 6 months old at the time. They had a roommate, and he had 2 little boys between the ages of 3 and 6. It was a 3-bedroom house. My friend, her husband, and their baby slept in one room. The 2 boys had a room with a double bed that they shared, and their roommate had the 3rd room. When the boys would stay with their mom, that was when I would stay there and help the baby with my friend's husband was either at work or playing video games. At this time, they had only lived in the house for a few months,
good job.
and they had already told me about some paranormal experiences they had. I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember them telling me that the last people to live in the house, they had only lived in the house for a few months.
Good job.
And they had already told me about some paranormal that the boyfriend had drowned the boy in the bathtub. I don't remember the specifics in the house, but I do remember them telling me that the last people to live in the house, they had only lived in the house for a few months.
Good job.
And they had already told me about some I feel like everybody wants to hear about the actual in the bathtub. I don't remember the specifics in the house, but I do remember them telling me that the last before I had to live in the house, they had
All right, I don't know what the hell's happening here, but we got some massive audio interference going on. It's like, I don't know what's audio inception going on here. But we got a call in the line, so I might try to work the bugs out on that and try that next week. But we got a call in the line. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Daniel calling from Virginia. Long-time listener and not the first-time caller.
Woo! Now, you got an excellent story for us?
Really, just a little topic, and I thought that maybe I would kind of pick your brain and get you to talk a little bit more about something.
Sure. All right, let's hear it.
So, one piece of thought is something that we hear a lot is, there's billions of stars out there, and like, how could we be so ignorant as to think that we're the only life around? And, that makes a lot of sense, but on the same token, if we think about our own planet, there have been billions and billions of species that have lived on our own planet, and I think it's almost kind of just as likely that we would have some other form of intelligent life that could have developed on Earth in the time that Earth has been around.
Sorry, say that one more time here. I'm trying to fix audio on the fly here. We're having issues, but I think I got it here.
Okay, do you want me to repeat the whole thing?
Yeah, just repeat the question one more time here.
Okay. So, well, first off, I'd always love to hear a little bit more about the experiences that you've had. It seems like experiences are a lot more common than we realize, as far as like just weird things or supernatural things. But otherwise, another just kind of thought that might be neat to share is that a lot of people, on the side, was a lot of people acknowledge that it would be kind of ignorant.
Hello? I have no idea what's going on with the Cosmic Lines tonight. Let's try this one more time. I'm gonna try Dan's audio while I wait for call, and then we'll see if we can get it on. I'm not sure why. What's going on? Am I crackling? Or is it still good? If not, anyways, I'm going to try to sort this out. We got some haunted lines going on. I will try to, I don't know, figure out what's going on. I'm not sure. I'm clear. Okay, well, the Cosmic Lines are open. I lost the caller. 1-833-703. In the meantime, let's, I'm even scared. You know what? I'm going to read a fan story. I got one here ready. Let's go to that. This one's been so far, I don't know what's going on with the Cosmic Lines here, but I got a story. This one's been sent in from Chaz. This all started when we moved into this house in Torrington, Wyoming. I was 13 and my parents worked the night shift at the sugar factory in town. I had a room in the basement. For me, it started out with just noises upstairs or voices talking when no one but me were home. It slowly started to increase and get more and more intense. One night, I was home by myself and I was playing Twisted Metal when I heard the upstairs front door open and close. Then I heard the sound of something being dragged from the front door all the way to the top of the stairs. I called out to see if there was anyone there and got no answers. So I went upstairs to investigate and realized that no one was home. I instantly got scared and ran back down the stairs. This happened many times while living at this house and to all my family members. I would always randomly be woken up in the middle of the night, not knowing why, but feeling complete dread. I knew something was wrong with this house. I'd always feel like someone was watching. One night, I was laying in my room and I felt a hand grab my shoulder. No big deal. I have a brother and a sister. But when I rolled over to look behind me, no one was in the room and my door was still closed. I instantly got a suck feeling in my stomach and I knew I just had an experience. Well, we ended up moving out of this house. When we had it all empty, my lady and I decided to stay the night there by ourselves. I was 18. We went to bed in the living room and we got woke up again in the middle of the night. But this time, I could hear the creaking of our stairs, the sound of someone walking up the stairs from the basement. She starts freaking out, and I was trying to rationalize it by saying, it's nothing. Well, we seen the darkness of the staircase get darker and the shape of a huge figure. We both seen it and freaked out. I could hear its raspy breath and see its outline. We both ran for the door and drove to my lady's house. I will never go anywhere near that place again. You could feel the evil presence in that place. That house was built in the 1920s, and my whole family had experiences there, and not good ones. Well, there's my haunted story. Thanks, Chet, sending that story in. Interesting. I mean, I've had a house. I've had a house with that kind of stuff as well, and we have someone on the line. Let's bring him in. Cosmic Channels, you're on the line. Let's give this another shot. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Fuck you, I called.
What? Thank you. How?
This is Eduardo calling from the beautiful, rainy city of Seattle.
Beautiful. Some more Pacific Northwest. Big Pacific Northwest calls going on right now.
Yeah. So I got some paranormal stories. You just gotta choose how creepy you want it to be.
Well, let's go max level creepy. I want to hear
Max level creepy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think's the worst one?
All right. So, my in-laws have lived in this house, right, for, 30-something years. And before that, the house actually belonged to one of my in-laws' parents and her boyfriend. So, the house has kind of been around for a long time. And so this has actually happened on two separate occasions. The same exact story played out with two generations. So basically, it was a female and a young child, in the master bedroom. So this happened to my mother-in-law as well as my wife. They were just, hanging out with a young child, and the kids both did the exact same thing, and they were like looking around the adult, and so the adult would ask, what are you looking at? And I kid you not, they both kids said, "Who's that lady?"
Oof.
Yeah. So, and I wasn't there for either one of these stories, but we just happened to be talking about weird stuff that we've encountered, and that one came up. And so my mother-in-law told that story first with my brother-in-law, the youngest one in the family, and then my wife was like, I had the exact same experience with our nephew.
Where your nephew saw some sort of weird woman?
Some sort of well, he saw a man. My nephew did, and my youngest brother-in-law saw a woman. And so the man that I believe that he's talking about is my mother-in-law's stepdad, who passed away in that house.
Oh well, that's that's kind of creepy. Why? So was the woman, was that in the that's in the same house?
So actually my wife's grandma, who also passed away in that house. So those are the only two people that we know of that have passed away in that house.
And they're both not so what do you how do you think that works? Do you think it's their the spirit of them lingering, or do you think it's the something with the kids? Why do you think the kids are seeing these apparitions?
Well, that's the interesting thing, is because it always has happened to a kid that was between 3 and 4 years old. So I don't know if that plays into the young kids aren't as they notice things that are there that adults don't, because they're more open to seeing things that aren't there.
Yeah, of course. And we've said maybe it's with how their brains are wired at that age, where they're just they're someone in the chat, Dutch's dude, they're closer to the veil, right? They just came from the other side of it, right? So they're a little more connected to it than we are later in life.
Right. And there's other stories from my in-laws, my brother-in-laws.
Is it all? It's all the same house?
Yeah, this is all the same house. I mean, they're not long stories, so I don't know.
Yeah, hit me with another one, man. I've had one failed call and two failed attempts.
I'll give you my personal one that I have.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So for a little while, we were living there because we were in between places, and so I used to get up 4:30, 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So I was up before anybody else was, and before I would leave for work, I would make myself a cup of coffee, kind of sit down in the kitchen and just drink my coffee before I would leave. And so I wouldn't turn any of the lights on. I would just have the little kitchen light on so that I could see where I was going. And so then, I was just kind of scrolling on my phone, drinking my coffee, and I could hear footsteps coming from that bedroom where the kids have seen things. And so they were slow and heavy. So it was just creak, creak, creak. Like someone was just waking up. And I didn't think anything of it because, there's other people in the house. So I figured, it was probably my father-in-law, who also gets up early. And so as I put my phone down and go to say good morning to whoever's coming out of the bedroom, I look up and there's nobody there. So I'm kind of okay.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I mean, I grew up in a house with ghost steps, and I used to hear them, and they never get cooler, I'll tell you that, because every time they happen, you're like, what the hell is that? You're questioning your own sanity. You're like, did I really? I definitely heard that.
Right, and so I even got up. I got up out of my seat, and I kind of went to peek my head around. I was like, is anybody awake? And I didn't get a response back. And so when I came back from work that day, I even asked my in-laws. I said, "Hey, did one of you get up in the middle of the night, or early in the morning? Before 5 o'clock?" And they both said, "Nope, we were." Because my father-in-law, he said, "Nope, I was up at 6." And then my mother-in-law said, "Nope, I didn't get up at all last night." So I was like, "Okay, well." I heard some footsteps.
Someone was.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Someone got up at the same time as me. So
it's such a weird feeling too, because I've had them, in a split level house where it's I've heard foot coming down the stairs, and you kind of look at the stairs because you're I hear someone coming down the stairs, and then just no one comes, and you're like, well, that's weird. And then you like go check, you're like, no one's home. You're like, you're like, now I don't feel safe.
Yeah, I was completely thrown out of whack because I looked up and I'm like, I was fully expecting somebody to be there because I heard every single step that walking towards the kitchen. Like, it was almost like they were standing right next to me. And so, they were like maybe a couple of steps away. So that's when I looked up and I was like, good. And in the middle of my sentence, I was just like, good. Oh, there's nobody there.
Yeah, so that's a wild one. What do you think the ghost footprints are? Like, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think they are?
You know what? I have no idea. I think footprints or like footsteps it's just one of those sounds that maybe like because of evolution we always pick that up,
Yeah.
Even if it's like very faint, we're always somehow able to pick that up.
Yeah, it's definitely like our probably like our old prey instinct, right? We're hearing a predator coming.
So yeah, and most of us, I feel like we just ignore that, right? Like if we're in a safe space, like I was, I'm in the house, so I'm like, oh, it's probably just somebody else in the house getting up early too.
Yeah.
So you don't think much of it, and then you go to look to see who it is, and there's nobody there.
Yeah, it's super super unsettling. I've as someone who's experienced them, if you've never experienced ghost footprints, it's and I'm not talking. Some people when you say ghost footprints, they think, oh, like like a floor creaking,
like a physical imprint in the
yeah, they're like oh the floor creaking at night. You mean that? You're like no, as if you hear someone take like sometimes like 5-6 strides. But there's no one there, right? Like it's not like because I think sometimes they're like, oh yeah, it's the wood in the heat in the winter creaking. You're like, no, it's not creaks. I know what that sounds like. I've experienced that as well. This is like a footsteps. That's the only way to. So I'm with you. It's definitely
no. I mean,
creepy.
I could tell if it was a footstep because I could hear the weight on the wood,
the transfer,
too. So the weight on the floor and then the weight back off the floor.
I mean, this is why all our grandparents had shag carpeting, man. So they you just didn't hear this shit, right? Cushioned all the ghosts.
Yeah, right. Because you just completely avoid that with shag carpet.
Yeah, you just live in peace. And now we all got all this hardwood and nonsense, right? Now the ghosts are letting us know why.
Yeah.
Hey man,
that's another one.
Really appreciate you calling in, Cosmic Channels. Thank you for saving this week's episode. I'm having just so many technical difficulties, so it was a pleasure having one caller come through that worked. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate you guys. I listen in. I'm a long-time listener. One of these days I'm gonna get around to getting on board with Patreon, but I think I hopped on like episode. Maybe it was 2 or 3. I can't remember now.
Well,
it's been so long.
You've got when you're ready. You got tons waiting for you. So.
Yep. All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Awesome ghost footprint stories. Kids seeing apparitions. Terrifying. If you want to support the show, you want to support Cosmic Channels, you want to help us upgrade the show, you got to do exactly what some of you have just been doing, and that's Bandito Frito hitting up, yelling #1 fan. Thank you so much. Invalid ID helping support the show and upgrade the lines. And just like that, we got another call on the line. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
But am I still friendly?
I don't know. I'm not sure. You come crystal clear for me, so it's a tough one because I'm like I look at everything on my end and I'm like, this is fine. This is Daniel again?
Yeah, this is Daniel from Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia.
Yeah, he's very fuzzy. I don't know why he comes through so fuzzy. Hold on. Let me see if maybe I can fix it on the fly. Give me another tester here, Daniel.
All right, test.
Yeah. You know what I'll do, Daniel? Everyone's saying that you're coming through really fuzzy, but you're not for me. So this is what I'm gonna do. I can't record you right now, because I'm doing the show live. But right at the end of the show, when I'm done, if you want to call back, I'll record your call and I'll put it on the podcast version.
Sure, man. Yeah, I'm just trying to help out. I love taking part and love listening to it. So
Perfect.
I'm looking forward to it either way.
Let's do that. Just call back at the end of the show and we'll get you on there and I'll record your show because the audio on my end is perfect. So I don't know why we're having these issues here, and hopefully we can figure that out in the future. But I'll get your call on the podcast version.
All right, buddy. Cheers. It was good talking to you.
Cheers. All right. Well, hey, listen, we're problem solvers here. We will sort out a way. You got a story you want to call? There, we will figure it out. And just like, tons of people supporting the show, helping upgrade the lines. The next, hopefully, upgrade we'll talk about in the shareholders meetings, maybe possibly upgrading the Cosmic line so we can have a couple people on hold. That old answering machine we can have. And there was a couple big donations. This entire episode, we have to give a huge shout out to Zapral. But there's a call on the line, and that takes priority. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up? It's Duchess of Doobies.
Woo!
From Cali.
See, I think this I think this your call sounds good. I think people are going to say this is great. Thank you so much for the. Was I just giving you a shout out? Was that what I got interrupted before? I think I was.
I don't know. Were you? I just called because I what's his name? Daniel said he was going to call back, so.
Yeah.
I wanted to, come in and talk shit.
Yeah, do it. What do you got? What do you got for us tonight?
All right. So, when I was a kid, I grew up in Ohio, and there was like 4 or 5 years. Excuse me. There was like 4 or 5 years where my cousin lived in this underground railroad house. Like, it was a house that we found out later on, after years of being gaslighted as a kid, that there were no shadow people running around. We're just kids. We're just seeing shit. But, later on we found out that the house, had part in the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
And, nice to know that we weren't fucking crazy when there's, the cabinets would open up by themselves at night. When you come, wake up in the morning, all the cabinets would be open. At night, you would always feel his presence around. There was plenty of times of shadow people that you would always see, and it's always in the peripheral, because when you turn around, you never see anyone, obviously.
Yeah.
And you always, just like the caller before was saying, you get in that sense of comfort where you're like, oh, there's people in the house. So I hear footsteps, I'm chilling. That's probably just my cousin. And then you look, and there's nobody in the fucking room. And you're like, oh, something is very wrong here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like we talked about the other, I don't know if I've had more unsettling experiences than when you're home alone and you hear the footsteps. You're like, it's terrifying. What do you think? What do you think that is?
I mean, well, the energy, right? Everything's energy. So
yep.
Call me spiritual, but it's well, that's not even spiritual. It's science. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So if it's, not here physically, but it was, I don't know, I just feel like places and things and people can be imbued with a certain amount of energy behind it. Just if certain not just tragic, but high energy, heavy energy events occur, then it's kind of a connection is time. What is that theory of time where it's all happening all at once everywhere? Why is it so crazy for us to maybe see or witness or see little moments of here and there that maybe had happened 100 years ago or so?
It's
it was such a crazy ass moment.
It's just one of those things too. I'm kind of a believer of I think not necessarily that it's a spirit of someone living on and passed the realm, but sometimes I think of if that person lived a life and you're in the house and they're in that same house that you were and they had passed away, but maybe that spirit lives in that just in that physical space. Like not necessarily it's like
Yeah.
the ghost, but it's just like, it's even the space. Like the house was used to their footprints. Yeah.
Them being there. Yeah.
It's like it echoes through all time, right? And like sometimes that's why there's stories of like, people in the woods with seeing 50s car, like 1950s cars and stuff, like ghost cars and like ghost people, like, and sometimes I just think I'm like, maybe this is just ripples, right? Like when you drop
it's like a window in time.
Yeah,
almost.
when you drop a a rock in the water, and it ripples continuously, and they get fainter and fainter and fainter, because like if you think about it, at the very peak, when you drop the stone, that's your physical presence there, and then the echoes through time are just get weaker and weaker as longer. And yeah, Invalid ID is saying the stone tape noises. Yeah, so it's interesting. It's fascinating stuff. It's what are your thoughts?
I think it's so fucking dope. Another thing about that house that we found like a few, I would say like 2 years in, we found like a secret hidden tunnel. It was like a false door. Yeah. Never went in. So
what do you mean? You never went in? Oh my God.
No.
How not? You gotta go in.
No.
That's what's that Netflix show where the guy sneaks around and leaves messages? That's what's going on at your house there.
No, dead ass. It was a false, like a halfway door. It looks like almost like one of those like those doors that would go in between wall spaces, but when you opened it, it was like a whole like tunnel like system. Like you could see like stairs leading down. And I was like, oh no, never.
Did anyone ever say like did you know anyone that went down there and knew anything about it? Like, because I know there's some weird places will have that kind of stuff for like bomb shelters or something, or like weird old exits, but.
Well, my cousin, he's my mom's cousin, so he's more like my uncle. So I grew up with his younger nieces and sons and daughters as like my age. But we were the ones running around together as kids, like thinking we were fucking going crazy. But as far as I know, I think he went down there, didn't explore too much, and he said that it was crazy. It was like a whole big tunnel system. Like you could keep walking for a while, I guess. I think it was underground, outside of just like that house and like that little land that it was on.
Yeah.
And eventually they ended up selling the house, and it got put into like some sort of like recognized as a historical landmark, or I guess for like the city. Like getting its registration for, like, hey, this house served as like history and, civil rights movement and blah, blah, blah. So you can't do certain things to it. You can't tear it down.
Yeah. I mean, I would kind of guess that it was, because it was like, it has a history and being involved in that kind of stuff. I imagine like some of those were to sneak people around. You know what I mean? So I don't know if they were nefarious. But it's still creepy. I mean, no one likes seeing that in your house.
You ain't get me to go down that tunnel, that's for sure.
No.
As a kid or as an adult, I'm glad I was smart enough. Both ages.
Yeah, it's
both times in my life.
No, I don't even go in a house that's built before 1950. Not a chance. Too haunted.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for the call.
All right, I'll let you get on.
Thanks for the call, and make sure to call back, and we can shoot the shit on some more weird ghost stuff in the future.
All right, bet.
All right, take your care. Take good care of yourself. And Merry Christmas. I keep telling you, and Happy Holidays.
Yes, Happy Holidays.
Yeah, see you later.
Be easy. Bye.
And just like that, the Cosmic lines are back open. Trying to give people shout-outs. The lines, list, we're gonna be upgrading those lines. The coffers were empty. The coffers are filling up. We got Red Bill 21. Thank you for your support. Viet on Discord gave us a huge donation the other day. I forgot to give her a shout out. Thank you for that. And you know what? I just got to open the link here because there's been some other people sending us on the best way to send us donations, and that's on our PayPal. That way those little bastards at YouTube don't steal it from us. But Super Chat is good too. They take a little bit extra for themselves. So we had, and I think this is a recurring person who keeps Clayton Killian. Absolutely monstrous $100 donation. Him and Zaprel now have the two biggest donations to Cosmic Channels. So thank you, Clayton Killian, and he's been sponsoring the show every week. Same with we've got Tyler Brooks. Tyler Brooks, monster donations. Oh my goodness, guys, it's amazing how much love there is for Cosmic Channels. We're gonna have the Rolls Royce of Cosmic Channels soon. Tanya Moya, and Nick Krasinski, all donating to the show. And as I've made the pledge, everything we raise for the show gets put right back in the show. So stick around after the show's done, and we do a little 15-20 minute shareholder meeting. We kind of figure out what changes we can make, and the vote might be let's replace Braden with all these tech issues this week. But the lines are open, 1-833-703-0424. I want to hear some more stories. You got a story? Call in. Let's hear it. I think I might try a fan submission one more time. I think I got it sorted. And then I'll wait. I'll end the show with Dan's fan read, and then then we'll go into the shareholder meeting after that. So listen, we got lines open, 1-833-703-0424. Now's your chance. Get on there. I want to hear your story. And if you're nervous, if you're sitting there and you're going, you know what, I'm too nervous to, tell my story live, send it in. Type it out. Flare it up. Make sure you use the easy words so we can read it. And send it to CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com. My goal is I'm going to get we have a huge bank of fan submissions, so we're working through it. But my goal is to maybe I can get some fun people to, some faces that you might recognize from other shows to come on and read fan submissions in the future. So, that's another way to do it. But preferably, I love when you guys call. So 1-833-703-0424, or else I'm going to just throw it at Daniel here. And then the lines are going to be shut for just a little bit. George Adams says, listen, there's only one way to find out. George Adams in the chat saying he's from the UK and he's worried it's going to cost some monies. I think the 1-833 number is toll free. But listen, there's only one way to find out if you're going to get charged an arm and a leg, and that's to call in and find out. You can be the test subject. Let's figure it out together. You can let us know if that bill is huge at the end of the month and you can't afford rent or, I'll have to look into it. I'm pretty sure it's toll free, 1-833 numbers. I think that is toll free, but I mean, let me look into it, George. And then when I have the answer for you, I expect a call from you. I know people have called from Australia, and I can't remember if we've had a UK call. You would be the first, maybe, but I think we may have had a UK call in the past. But I'm going to throw it over to Dan as he reads the fan submission. The lines are going to be on hold, not dead, on hold for about 7 minutes while you get this awesome story from Dan. I'll be right back.
Theorist theorizing on Cosmic Channels, here to read you a fan submission. As read. So this is the first one that I remember. When I was 24, I'm 30 now. I used to stay at a friend's house a few weeks.
Got it figured out. There we go.
Hi, I'm Dan with Alien Theorist Theorizing on Cosmic Channels, here to read you a fan submission. As read. So this is the first one that I remember. When I was 24, I'm 30 now. a few weeks at a time with her, her husband, and her daughter, who was about 5 or 6 months old at the time. They had a roommate, and he had 2 little boys between the ages of 3 and
How is this still echoing? This doesn't even make sense. It's still echoing? It was fine for 10 seconds. Let's try this.
Hi, I'm Dan with Alien Theorist Theorizing on Cosmic Channels, here to read you a fan submission. As read. So this is the first one that I remember. When I was 24, I'm 30 now. I used to stay at a friend's house a few weeks at a time with her, her husband, and her daughter, who was about 5 or 6 months old at the time. They had a roommate, and he had 2 little boys between the ages of 3 and 6. It was a 3-bedroom house. My friend, her husband, and their baby slept in one room. The 2 boys had a room with a double bed that they shared, and their roommate had the 3rd room. When the boys would stay with their mom, that was when I would stay there and help the baby with my friend's husband was either at work or playing video games. At this time, they had only lived in the house for a few months, and they had already told me about some paranormal experiences they had. I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember them telling me that the last people to live in the house were a woman, her 2-year-old son, and her boyfriend. They told me that the boyfriend had drowned the boy in the bathtub, and he died in the house. I had spent maybe a week there before I had my own experience. It's not a particularly exciting story. I feel like everybody wants to hear about the actual sightings and shit, but those people have no idea how incredibly rare and special those experiences are. Anyway, ... So one night when the boys were with their mom and the roommate was out getting drunk with his Marine buddies, I was ready to go to bed. I'm an insomniac, so it takes me hours to fall asleep, no matter how tired I am. So I believe it was around 2 or 3 in the morning when I finally settled into bed in the boys' room, which was at the very end of the hall. The room next to it was the roommate's room, which was empty, as I said, because he was out. Everybody else in the house had gone to bed hours ago, and I was just lying there thinking when I heard something coming from the other end of the hall. The door was closed, but I could hear what sounded like footsteps at the end of the hall. At first, I thought maybe my friend got up and was coming down the hall to talk to me, but as the steps got closer, I realized they were really light steps and really close together. The only way I could describe them is like the footsteps of a toddler, kind of off balance and one right after the other, really close together. It definitely sounded like somebody with short legs. Anyway, the steps kept getting closer and closer until I could hear them right outside the door. And then they continued. I heard these little footsteps come all the way up to stop, right to where I was laying in bed. And then silence after that. I got this overwhelming feeling in my gut, like I was going to cry, and it was really weird. Then eventually, I fell asleep. The next day, my friend's husband tried to tell me it was the mice that they had been trying to deal with since they moved in. But I know what fucking mice sound like in the walls and the floor. There was another experience of a door opening and closing without a draft or anybody touching it when it was shut tight, but that's even more boring. As for sleep paralysis demons and shadow figures, I've had sleep paralysis many times in my life, but there have only been a few times when I actually saw something. The first time I saw something was when I was staying over at my boyfriend's house, now ex. He lives in the basement of his grandparents' house. His grandfather built the house and died in it. While I never saw or heard anything weird there when I wasn't paralyzed in bed, I always got a really weird vibe from that place, particularly in the bedroom. So this one weekend I was staying over and we were both asleep in his room with the bedroom door open. I woke up because I felt someone watching me. I realized I couldn't move and looked around to see if anyone was actually there. I couldn't open my eyes all the way, but I was able to open them enough to see that there was something standing in the doorway. It didn't look like a person, but it was like a shadowy impression of legs. I don't know if there were any more body parts because I couldn't look up any farther. I started to panic and tried to wake my boyfriend, but I couldn't move no matter how hard I tried. After a while, I just gave in and went back to sleep and woke up the next day just feeling really uneasy. I don't know if this was paranormal or if it was just in my head, but it was terrifying. I saw what I assumed to be the same figure, but in full form a couple times after that, in the same position and in the same place, right in the doorway. I kind of got used to it after a while. I've always been fascinated with the paranormal, and it's not that easy to scare me. The last time I stayed at his house was after a hurricane a couple years ago that flooded the basement, and he had to have it remodeled. In the process, he decided to knock out the wall of the bedroom to make the living room even bigger and turn what was supposed to be the garage into a bedroom. It's a really weird house with a weird layout. I don't know how else to describe it, but anyway, so his bedroom is now in the front of the apartment next to the kitchen. This is unimportant. Actually, I'm the worst at telling stories. Sorry. So we're both laying in bed one night, and I'm laying on my back, and I wake up with my left hand on my chest, and I feel a weight pushing my arm down. I look down at my arm, and all I can make out in the darkness is a black face, like jet black, with big, beady eyes and razor-sharp teeth clamped down on my forearm. It was hard to tell by looking at it, but I had the thought that it was a female for some reason. She had stringy black hair. Sleep paralysis has always scared the fuck out of me, but this time was the worst. I'm sure it was only my weird fucked brain, but it felt so real. I tried to shake her off, but couldn't move. I did manage to get the words, "Get the fuck out" out of my mouth, for sure, because my boyfriend told me the next morning that he heard me say it. Attached to this shitty drawing I did of the bitch that sunk her teeth into my arm, I took artistic liberties in drawing the rest of her body, which I couldn't see in the dark. A friend of mine suggested I name her Brenda, and I thought that was hilarious, so that's what I call her now. Thanks for being open to reading all this. I'm on Case File 36 on Spotify, and they've been bringing up the pod for the last week or two, and it's been a real comfort in these shitty times. I'm in the US. Need I say more? I don't know how I've just discovered you guys. Have a happy holiday season, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. So, if you're too scared to bring us your story and read it live on air, you can always send it to us at CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com. And you never know who's going to read it. Thanks.
It's a creepy story from a fan. I mean, Brenda. The pictures are pretty terrifying. She sent a nice drawing of Brenda in there, so we got that in there. The Cosmic lines are back open. We got time for 1-2 calls. If people want to get their stories in, 1-833-703-0424. We just got to honestly huge shout out to everyone who's listening to this show that's helping to grow it. This is the fan show. It's your guys' show. I just host it. So just a ton of love tonight. Love seeing it. Rodolfo with the big old $40 donation. The shareholder meeting is gonna huge after this. Let's go right to the lines here. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where you're calling from? You're on the line. You got to mute the live stream. Live stream's behind.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh my God, holy...
I don't know what's going on there. Call right back. I don't know what happened there. Call right back. I don't know why I couldn't I could hear him listening to the live stream, so I think he call back. Let's sort it out here. 1833. There it is. Cosmic Channels, you're on the line. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh my gosh! My name's Scott. I'm calling from Pittsburgh, down here in the United States.
Woo! I think you're the first Pittsburgh caller.
Oh, I'm happy to be a part of it. Can you hear me all right? I got the live stream in the back, and it sounds kind of shitty.
Yeah, just turn the live stream off. The chat will let me know. It sounds good on my end, so let's just roll with it. I don't think you sound too quiet, so I think we're good to go.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's awesome. So I'm going to let you pick. I have two very short, very insignificant stories. One's about aliens, one's about ghosts, and they both happened at about the same point in my life, and they both involve the most terrifying cryptid of them all, my mother.
No. Dealer's choice. Let's hear the first one, and then we can bring it back.
All right. Honestly, the ghost one is the better one. I was probably 10 to 12 years old at the house I grew up in, and I would occasionally, in the living room, just out of the corner of my eye, see, like, the blue of a person. Red shirt, blue pants, every time. And at the time, my mother had, like, an outfit that was just that. Red shirt, blue pants, she wore it around the house. And so I always just thought it was her.
Yeah, little clashing, but, I mean, that's all right.
Yeah. So years go by, I grow up, move out, whatever, and I ask my parents one night, we're sitting around drinking beer, and I'm like, hey, did you guys ever see the ghost at the old house? And my mom goes, was it wearing a red shirt and blue pants? And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So apparently the entire family saw this ghost, and nobody ever said anything about it until, 10, 15 years later.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question for you. I'm just purely out of curiosity. This is not to do about story. We'll get to your story in a second. Do you have me on speakerphone right now?
No, I do not, actually.
Interesting.
I live in a basement.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why some people's calls go through crackly and some others don't. But what do you think? What do you think that is? Something like that's, to me, it sounds like some sort of mimic in your house. Like, what would be trying to look like your mom?
I don't even think it was like trying to look like my mom. She said she looked it up at one point, and I guess somebody died in that house, like 3 owners before we ever lived there.
So your mom's the mimic. Your mom's been trying to. She's like, my kids are going to be terrified of this ghost. I better start dressing like it so I can just tell them it was me the whole time.
That might be. Yeah, she might have just been trying to make us feel better.
Now, any thoughts? Like, have you talked about your family, like with your family, or what they think it is?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, we did have that one conversation about it, but it was really, like, we didn't know what it was. My parents they're not into ghosts, that sort of thing, so they didn't really have much input, but maybe it was a mimic. I don't know. This was, we lived in an old, like, a mill town, a steel mill town. And so I guess these houses were built, like, back in the 19th century for all the people who worked in the mills and stuff like that. And somebody maybe died in an accident, or who knows? Who the hell knows?
But the interesting thing to me is the same outfit that your mom wears, that your mom's known for wearing, right? Like, to me, I'm like, that to me conveys some sort of thought by this thing. Or do you think that's just a wild? I'm just saying, like, me personally, and like, I'm not knocking your mom at all. My mom loves cows. There was a time in the 90s, everything was cow print. But like red and blue, like that, I don't see a lot of people wearing, you know what I mean? Like red and blue together. So to say, like, yeah, my mom and the ghost are both wearing that same outfit, it's like, what are the odds of that?
It was just like a pair of blue jeans and just some red, like, long sleeve t-shirt. And I would just be, sitting in the living room, 10, 11 years old, watching TV, whatever, and just like out of the corner of my eye, I would just see what I thought was her walking through the room, and I somehow missed it until she was already passed.
Yeah, it's wild. And you said you had another one?
Oh, it's even shorter than that. Again, I was probably 10 to 13 years old. I was on my way to get a haircut. Of course, being a kid, Mom drove me. I got out of the car. I look up over the shopping plaza, and I see, like, the traditional bell-shaped UFO. It's got, like, the 3 round things on the bottom, kind of shaped like the Liberty Bell. And it's one of those blink and it's gone things. I turn around, look at my mom to see if she had looked up, and I look back up and it was gone, which is whatever. I didn't really think about it much after that, but then like a year later, I was in 8th grade doing some kind of science project, needed a filler slide on a PowerPoint presentation about the solar system or something like that, so I did one on UFOs. And this is like 2003. Google was just, it wasn't as big as it is now. And so I go in Google Images and I look up UFOs. And the one that I saw was like the third result, which as a 12, 13-year-old scares the hell out of you, but...
Man, well...
Who knows what it really was.
You said it looked like a bell?
Yeah, it was just a bell with like 3 round things on the bottom, and it was kind of like...
You want to know what you saw? You saw De Glocke. You saw De Glocke, man. You saw the Nazi secret UFO weapon. That's the shape of it. It's shaped like a bell.
It doesn't surprise me that they had one of those floating around the suburbs of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right? Or they're just happened to pop in, pop out of time, right? We don't really know what it is said to have done. There's a ton of rumors about what it did. But like the second you say that bell shape, yeah, it's who knows, right? It's interesting. It's weird that when those things, those kind of sightings, even though they're fleeting, they'll stick with you, and you're just like think back to them all the time.
Yeah, it's been 20 years, and I can still see this thing clear as day. It's weird.
And what were you didn't like? Because you said you kind of like because you were a kid, you just didn't know. You were just like, whoa, that's weird. And you knew it was weird when you was a kid, and it wasn't until you started to look into UFOs you were like, shit, I saw one.
I don't remember whether or not I had started my Ancient Aliens era yet. I don't remember whether or not I'd started watching that. So it could have been influenced by that. Could have actually seen something.
It's interesting. I mean, the only downside is that you put the connection years later, so you're like, the only thing for me is, and this isn't knocking your story at all, but I always kind of like, you're looking into this stuff later, and then it's like we just know how bad memory really is, right? Like you can trick yourself so good, like even for like firsthand witnesses and stuff. They'd be like, yeah, he was wearing a blue shirt, and then they're like, if like video comes up and they're like, it was 100% a black shirt, like you're out of your goddamn mind. So I just always think that like when you're thinking like those ones where I'm like, god damn, the mind's a tricky thing, right? Like, but it sticks with you, right? I have those things too. I swear I saw a 6 foot tall, like bird-like creature on a lamppost around Halloween when I was like 6 years old, and it still haunts me to this day.
And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, am I remembering it wrong? It's been 2 decades now, but it was just that like weird oh shit moment. Because I remember the Google thing like more vividly than actually seeing it. I could have been looking at a light pole in a shopping center,
Yeah.
But when I got on Google that day, like that's the part I really remember.
It's interesting, man. It's interesting, especially those things, because the longer time goes, you're like, the sightings stick with you. But hey, man, thanks for calling. Yeah. Thanks for being one of the first people from Philly or Pittsburgh to call. And really appreciate the call.
I'm excited Cosmic Channels is back. I'm glad I got through.
It's back, man. Tell all your friends. Start spreading. We got to start spreading the word if we want to keep this going.
I love it. All right. Well, hey, I hope everybody listening enjoys their holidays. Thank you so much for taking my call. And, yeah, I'm enjoying the live stream.
Hey, take care of yourself.
All right. You too. Take care.
Bye. Bye. Just like that, the calls are open. Interesting. Do you have that's an interesting subject. Did you see some shit when you were a kid that you question now as an adult? Like, I want to hear those stories too, because maybe sharing these stories and experiences will unlock, experiences and stories that other people may have had throughout their lives. So, give us a call, Cosmic Channels, 1-833-703, and just get your story out there, because you never know. We might make some connections on the show about various experiences, but not every day do you get someone on the line that may or may not have seen De Glocke in person. So that's a fascinating one. I'm trying to think if the Kecksburg UFO, that was a bell. Rendlesham, I think, was a bell. So there is quite a few bell-shaped UFOs. I mean, it is interesting because we always think of these things traveling through the air and stuff as, kind of the way our ships and stuff. But I guess it's shape. You don't really have to be aerodynamic if you're just Taco Bell. Yeah. There's lots of bells, but you don't have to be aerodynamic if you're folding space and time, and you can just enter one point to another. I don't think you really have to worry about aerodynamics. But give me a call, 1-833-703-0424. I'll leave the lines open for one more minute here before we shut down the show and head off to the shareholders meeting. And if you're watching the live stream, just hang around. Give me 2 seconds. I just put a little marker on here for me, and then I come right back live, and we can get into the shareholders meeting and decide how we want to move things forward for next week and weeks coming. But we got time for one last call, 1-833-703-0424. And you know what? I got to give someone a shout out because the chat is just flying, and I definitely saw someone throw Tenko. Thank you for the 15 Great British Pounds. I don't know. That's either like $100 Canadian or $6 American. I have no idea anymore. I don't know how these currencies all exchange. Thank you for helping support the show. We really appreciate it. Everything we do here is just to grow the show and see how big we can get this thing. And it's your guys' show. It's your guys' stories. I just host it. Just like that, we're going to shut the Cosmic Lines down for the day. The Cosmic Lines are now closed. We'll be back next Thursday, every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's where we're taking your stories. So come on back. We'll be live streaming through the holidays, and maybe next week we'll take some Santa sighting stories on Cosmic Channels. Anyways, the lines are now closed. We'll see you at the shareholders meeting. We're back for the shareholders meeting. Look at that. Woo! Look how quick that was. Thank you for hanging around. Let's go. Let's get to business. So I have I had a kind of an interesting idea. I was thinking, and unfortunately I did it last night. The idea came to me last night is we have in the bank, we have about 60 fan stories that we've never read, never got to. So I was lining them up, and I was like, to be honest, reading stories live is hard because some people, how they write them is weird, and you struggle to read like me. So I had this idea where rather than when there's a lull in the show, and it didn't work tonight. Obviously tonight was I should never, and you know what? This is your guys' show, and I completely apologize. I should have never tried to sneak something new in here before trying it out in a shareholders meeting first. That's what I'm going to do from now on. I will only try new things out in a shareholder meeting. We're all just friends here. This isn't part of the show. It's just all us friends fucking around, and we can kind of figure it out. But what I would do is, if some of you want to read a fan submission, or in the future, what I thought would be funny is if we get enough in the coffers where, we have some little money to play with, it might be funny to pick a fan story that's been submitted and pay someone on Cameo to read the story, and then we'll play it on Cosmic Channels. I was having fun with some ideas, but for now I have a bunch of stories read by Dan and Andrew and myself, and then I was going to open the floor to some of you. If you're interested in filming yourself reading a fan submission, I'll edit it and put it on. It's that way when there's a lull in calls, my idea was I would play that and I could answer calls in the background. Something crisscross applesauce. I don't know why it didn't work, but I can't. The calls were coming through at the same time and then causing an echo. I don't know. I gotta figure out what that's gonna do. But George, I saw you there. I will have an answer for you next Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's toll free. I'm pretty sure it's a toll free number. But let's just look at some numbers here. So last week, over the 24-hour cycle on release of Cosmic Channel 7.0, that was the first one back. We had 287 plays. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. The show was dead in the water. So I don't, like I said, I'm not putting too much stock into the downloads right now. But full transparency, that's where we are. Right now, as of right now for today, we are at 233, so we're probably on pace to beat 287 on the 24-hour clock. And you know what? That's cool. We just want to see that. We just want to see that growth happening. I have the podcast episodes coming out Thursday morning. What do you guys think about that? I had it. My thought was obviously the witching hour, so right between 3 and 4, 3:30, Thursday morning. Cosmic Channels comes out, and that way, if people are, it gets auto download and they listen to it Thursday. All podcasts, I say, this is recorded live on Thursday, so try to entice people to call. Any thoughts? Anyone think a better day would be to release the podcast version? I don't really know. We've played with a bunch of different days. We've tried by a bunch of different days, and with ATT, and I don't think anything's really been beneficial one way or the other. We're still, looks like George is still trying to figure out how to call in. I have the lines closed. Should I open them? Do you want to do a tester? Sean, the Irish Potato, I picked this time so you wouldn't be here. Just a beacon of negativity, but somehow he finds his way here. Look at this. Now, social medias. I think I'm gonna mix the clips up. If you didn't see, I was posting just random clips of the show, kind of broken up into minutes, so I could use them for reels across all. But then I kind of find that some of them get like 8 parts, and I'm like, maybe I'll just do a little sample section. So if you're listening, make sure to go and share. Share posts. Easy way to help the show. Share posts. Comment on a reel. Send it to your story if you like one of the calls, and check it out that way. But it's I think that's the best way. As for where we settled on the last week, we decided on the chat. What do we thought? What are our thoughts on the chat? Did we like the new chat section rather than the blue names? I can't really change it, so it's kind of green or blue. The only thing I noticed is that sometimes Restream bot, which I don't know how to turn off, I'll have to figure out, duplicates. Little bastard duplicates the chat, so I'll have to figure out why that's doing that and sort that out. The only other thing, so let's go over the numbers here. We have, oh my goodness, Cosmic Channels has right now my goodness, we probably have about $260 to work with. That's our coffers, and that's awesome. That's really awesome because we were at zero. We blew our entire budget on the Restream app, which I think was the most beneficial first move we could do. It just gives access to way more people to listen to the show. So next up, I think, what does everyone feel like? Is it worthwhile to, upgrade the lines? Like, is that what we should be doing next? I'm looking for ideas in the chat. We got $230 to work with. We can look at, hire a phone guy to fix the phone sounds. That's me. I will sort that out. I don't know why. Daniel, if you're still listening, I know we were having issues with your phone, so why don't you call? Because it's weird to me that some of the calls are fine and some of the calls are not fine. Like, that doesn't make sense. So, Daniel, why don't you give me a call right now and we can work through what's going on with your phone, and we can try to figure out for next week so we don't have the peaking issues with everyone. So if you're still listening, give me a call now. Let's work through it. We might have to roll through some people's phone numbers too. So I think call waiting, other options. The cable's all good because some of the calls work, so it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not touching them. Some were very unfine and others were just about fine. Yeah, I'm not sure. So we need to get a call on the line. Someone call, and we'll see. Because the other week it worked fine. We had no issues. Well, it's a digital phone provider, so it's, internet phone. Thank you for calling Cosmic Channels. Welcome to the shareholders meeting. Who are we talking to? Hello? Can you hear me? Stand by. Stand by. Call right back. There. I think maybe that fixed it. There we go. Cosmic Channels. Thank you. Welcome to the shareholders meeting.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, there we go.
Before?
See, are you coming through real crackly for people?
I don't know. I paused my stream.
Okay. Well, yeah,
I
you
can hear you fine, and everybody else probably heard you fine.
Now, was it all it wasn't all the calls? It was just some of the calls, right?
No, it was most of the calls. It started off with people mostly when they said peas, it would spike it pretty bad.
Try that. How's that?
Is it sounding better? Are there any bad cracklies or spikings or fuzzies? And then when they got excited and they kind of talked a little louder, and it would kind of make it worse.
Yeah. Interesting.
But some of them came through super quiet too. Like you would turn their volume down maybe to help it with the peaking.
Why?
It was also hard to hear them, but then it was also fuzzy.
Yeah, it's weird. Interesting. Is it better now? Better for me until loud talking. Oh, okay. Well, let's try that. How's that? Give me some Bandito. Give some talking here.
Just talk normal and don't kind of speak loud or excited, and just a mellow kind of tone.
Yeah. Now get excited a little bit.
Oh my gosh, no, I seriously do want to call you about my dream I have had. It was like a dream I had for 15 years. So whenever you want to do a non-dream police kind of night, I'm definitely want to call.
Way worse now. Interesting. All right. Well,
and so here's the difference. I am on speaker too. So I know you asked the one caller if they were on speaker. I'm currently on speaker. It doesn't seem to make a difference.
I don't think so. Still spikes and crackles. Digital mixer.
Yeah, some folks were given some ideas on how to do it. I think it was George, maybe.
How's that? Can talk again?
Talking again.
Oh, let's try this. Hold on. Let's try this. Talk again?
Talk again. Saw you in your little elf outfit.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, it was pretty darn silly.
A lot better, but super
you
quiet.
get a little Santa beard for the next one.
Okay, who's super quiet? Me or Bandito?
Which one, caller or no? Probably the caller. Probably me. I'm gonna switch you over to my Bluetooth.
Okay, hold on. Get it
real fast.
Yeah, get it. No. Just leave it. Just leave it. Get excited.
Okay.
We need some excited Bandito.
Oh, excited! Woo! Yeah! This is super fun. This is actually it is a whole lot of fun trying to get this all figured out because it wants to be the bestest awesome show ever. Woohoo!
Huh? Did we fix that out live?
Is there a lot of P's in this?
The little P's.
Peter and Paul and
it comes through so good for me. Perfect. Better, but still quiet. Perfect now. I can turn her up a little bit more. Okay. What about now? Try that now.
Peter picked a peck of pickled peppers. Even though he picked a peck of pickled peppers, Peter didn't like peppers.
I hate audio equipment so much. Honestly, it's
this is why you need Zell, right? This is the only reason.
Well, I mean, Zell's the best part about Zell is because the only thing, this is what we got to use the money for. I need a bigger mixer, because right now that's where we have to. I think we just have to save the money, because I need a better mixer, because I literally, to fix this, I just plugged it into the other port, like other port.
You guys were talking about that the other day, right? Where
Yeah.
you needed to have a bigger thing to plug stuff into.
Yeah.
And
So I
that's what he was
think, yeah, because I just moved it over one, and now it's working fine. The only thing
you
that
just got to remember, that's your Cosmic Channels port.
Well, yeah. The only problem is, now. See, now this is going to be the issue here. Oh no, it's pretty much an issue the whole time. So.
And if Daniel's in the chat, because I can't see it, just tell me and I'll hang up so he can go in and tell a story.
I don't think he is.
Okay.
Just keep talking.
Keep talking about, I don't know, do you want to do another nursery rhyme? Nursery rhymes. That's a whole case why you guys could do the craziness of nursery rhymes. Do a confidential as to why they were all about murdering kids.
Okay. This will be the tester. Is it still good?
Is it still good?
Is it still good? Just checking.
Are there any problems?
And then, because I'm just gonna plug it back into the other port. The issue is I don't have. And how does she sound in comparison to me? This is the hardest part, is because I can't hear the playback. The issue is right now is I have to use a different setup for Alien Theorists than I do Cosmic Channels. So I actually, when I do like ATT Live, ATT, and then this, it's all, I got to mix up. So this is obviously, I just need, I think we have I got to bite the bullet.
I want to say label your ports for right now, so you know which ones go plugged in where on which days.
Well,
but yeah, definitely price out.
Well, the crazy thing is I had this one was plugged into the same one it was last week. There was no issues last week, and then this week people are like, there's no photo. I don't have to take a photo of the settings. It's the exact same thing. That's the craziest thing. I just moved it over one, and it's on the same settings. Like it's a wild thing. So it could be my boxes starting to shit the bed too, maybe. But anyways, Kate, Bandito, I'm gonna let you go. Someone else call. Let's just do a check with other callers as well. All right. So someone else call. Let's just make sure this is working. 1-833-703-0424. I'm not gonna press anyone. I just need to. We're just making sure the calls are working. This is your guys' show. We're gonna make sure it's working flawlessly, even though it did last week, and then this week, I don't know what happened, but it's okay. That's right. Georgia Adams knows. Port's gonna do what a port's gonna do. There's no truer words have been spoken. Hey, Cosmic Channel shareholders meeting. How's it going?
Hey, it's invalid.
Hey, welcome back. Can you mute the live stream in the background?
It is.
Perfect. Now, how is this call? Does invalid sound good? And how does she sound in comparison to me? Yeah, give me some like normal talking and then some excitement.
Exciting. How was that?
I mean, I was both sound good.
Sounds equal for everybody.
All right. Well, I think we sorted.
All right.
Keep talking.
Keep talking. I'm going to keep talking. This V is good.
All right.
I don't know.
The V.
No crackling.
No crackling. Right. Good. All right. Well, I think I have that sorted out now. I think we're set.
Okay.
I think my channel 3 port is. Oh, you know what? Let's check. I have the same settings. I'm going to unplug you. I'm going to plug you into port 3. Let me just check.
Okay.
Absolute horseshit now, guys. Give me invalid.
Hello?
I can see. I don't know. I think it's horseshit. Let's see.
Okay.
Hold on. Keep talking, invalid. Give me some half excitement.
I don't know. I think that Bandito should call back with her dream. That's what I think.
Instant crackle. So my channel 3's dead. That's it. Something's wrong with it. So that's okay. Instant better. Instant better.
Hello?
There we go.
Better. And peas, lots of peas.
Yeah.
Lots of pickles.
Peter Piper, give us a Peter Piper pickled.
Peter Piper pickles, peckers, people's pants.
Good. Cletus said dog shit, but I think he meant on the last move. No one's letting me know now.
Hello.
Come on, chat. We need to know. That works. Rapstar 2023. Okay, so
don't worry, I will never change careers.
Instant perfection. Okay, perfect. So yeah. I think that's working.
All right.
I think it's just unfortunate that I have a dead channel there. That's all right. Oh, I can.
All right.
That's
I'm gonna hang up.
Thank you. Cheers. Okay. Well, thank you for calling and sorting that out. Okay. Well, don't touch the cords. Unfortunately, I have to touch the cords. But I think, I don't know, maybe a new mixer. That sounds good. It's very frustrating. But we have like $250 in the coffer, so we can just hold on to that. I don't necessarily think we need to upgrade the lines yet. I think we can just save it and maybe push it. Or if we have a really funny cameo idea, if someone writes in a really good story, yeah, I'll price it out. I'll price it out for next week. I'll look at a new mixer, and you know, I don't think they're that much. Looking right now. Well, audio mixer. Yeah. I mean, $200 for an 8-channel sound mixing console. But I probably don't need that one. That's literally the first thing that popped up. So you know, that's probably the best bet because then I could leave it. What do I have now? I have Miro Mixamp 14.2 little box, 3-channel box. Is there a reserve fund? No. Oh really? Cameos are 3 minutes normal? All right. Well, we'll have to sort that out. Anyways, for the stream, any thoughts on the stream? I mean, just checking. Hold on. Let's just check this one more time. Okay. If I click over this, because I think I sorted this, can you guys hear Dan's story?
Hi, I'm Dan with Alien Theorist Theorizing on Cosmic Channels, here to read you a fan submission. As read.
Is that working? Can you hear him? Okay, beautiful. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because I knew someone said that last week about you know, with the fan stories, they like to read along. So I did the, you know, little storybook and then with some subtitles, the best I could. I mean, I had this idea last night, so it wasn't like I had a lot of time to edit it, unfortunately. So it, you know, I was gonna make it look a little nicer, and fix the subtitles up, but I was like, shit, I gotta get this done for today. Other than that, anything else? What do you guys thoughts? Should we continue that with the pre-read stories? I mean, I'll have that now that I know what I had wrong. Now I think I'd like to have maybe 1 or 2 of those queued up a week, different ones, so that, you know, just if there's a lull, I can queue up a story. So I'll keep the subtitles. Everyone liked the subtitles. I'll make them a little better. This was just literally whipped it together. So I'll make so you can read. Some people, you like the read stories, like you read them live. Like you want me to read them live, because if I don't mind reading one live. It's just when there's a couple lulls. Sometimes it's nice to, it'd be nice to take a call and screen a call while I am. And it's a cheeky way I can take a break, to be honest. I can quickly grab a sip of water and stuff. Yeah. So in the future, what I'll do is I will clean up the stories. Like, because some of them are, I'm not criticizing anyone, but they're hard to read. You're like, what? You're like, run on sentence, and then you're, you know, misspelled word, and you're like, no, I read that wrong in context. You have to change it. Yeah. I'll definitely tweak them. I'll do that moving forward. I've got three pre-read, from Andrew and Dan that I'm just going to edit those ones as is. So I'll just kind of clean up the editing, and then moving forward from that, I will punch them up so they sound better read. I mean, Andrew's are going to be barely listenable anyways. He was recording with me today when I was at work, and he didn't think I could listen, and I'd like turn my mic or my headphones on so I could hear, and it was pretty funny. You guys will love it. I'll make sure. I gave Andrew all long stories too. He's like, "Yo, why are these ones so long?" So it'll be good. Anything else before we sign this one up? We kind of ran long, but had some tech issues. But I think we got it all sorted out pretty good now. You know what? I can talk to Andrew about doing some mongooses. I think he's going to be more open to doing them in a while, especially if they're pre-recorded and I can blur his voice. His friend of a friend's voice and face. I think he would be more into that. So maybe I can talk him into that. Any other thoughts? I think we just roll the money, and then we'll see. Yes, we tried another caller, but Sean, if you want to give me a call really quick, we haven't tried a high pitched prepubescent voice yet. So if you want to give me a call, 1-833-703-0424, we can hear how it sounds with like one of those like teenager crackling voices. It'd be nice to just test try. so we can try that out. Other than that, if Sean does a call, I think what do you guys think? We'll just roll the money over, and then I'll price out a couple mixers, and we'll look at it next week. We got some money in the coffers, so we might be. I wasn't expecting to get this much tonight, to be honest. So I didn't have anything prepared. My hope was like, we need to fill the coffers. So that's awesome. But I think what we'll do next week is I'll price out upgrading the lines. I'll price out a mixer. I'll price out some ads, and then we can just kind of look at and where we want to go with that. But in the meantime, you want to help the show, spread the love on. Oh, and you know what? Shoot me emails at CosmicChannelsPodcast@gmail.com, because I'm curious. I just need social media post ideas. Like I really want to cut these up, but maybe I need to do an intro first, and then just like a little bit of a story, and then like, as heard on 7.2 podcast available now. Like, I don't know. I need some thoughts on social media posts, just because it's not that they're not getting traction. In my thought process before was, I'll just cut them up into 1 minute sections for social media. But now I'm starting to question that. So if you have ideas, shoot me a message. I got to head out though. It is time for me to eat and go to bed. So we'll reconvene this shareholders meeting. What we'll bring up next week, I'll price out some things. Now that like we got restream, so I'll price out mixer. I'll price out upgraded lines, and I'll price out maybe a couple. See what kind of ads we can do on some socials posts. But in the meantime, to brainstorm some social media post ideas. You got some ideas, or have you seen a similar show that does, posts that you like? Shoot me a message, and then show me. So then, maybe next week we can tweak that stuff. Thank you all for helping the show and helping grow it. And have a Merry Christmas, everyone. And we will see you next Thursday. Peace out, everybody.